Russian President Vladimir Putin has inaugurated his fifth term, underlining a staunch commitment to unchallenged autocratic governance. In his address, Putin extolled the contributions of Russian citizens, soldiers, and residents in historic territories, advocating for a decisive victory in Ukraine. This victory, according to Putin, is vital to preserve Russia's sovereignty, historic lands, and traditional values, shielding them from Western influences. His rhetoric reiterates his autocratic stance and signals a sustained drive toward nationalistic and conservative policies. By advocating for such a victory, Putin is not only reinforcing his control, but also mobilizing support for an extended conflict, portraying it as a defense of Russia's storied heritage and future stability. President Putin's latest speeches are rife with historical analogies, linking his leadership to the eras of Russian czars and the imperial tradition to garner support from ultranationalists. He depicts himself as a modern inheritor of Russia's imperial might, tasked with restoring Russia's past grandeur and safeguarding its rights. This strategic invocation of history serves to bolster his internal support among nationalist factions, framing his leadership as a revival of Russia's historic glory against external threats. Such rhetoric not only enhances his appeal to nationalist sentiments, but also aims to legitimize his policies of autocracy and territorial integrity in the eyes of the Russian public and his supporters. Under Putin's renewed leadership, the Kremlin is markedly intensifying its anti-Western rhetoric, promoting a narrative that champions Russian sovereignty against globalist influences. This ideological shift is coupled with concerted efforts to consolidate governmental control, tighten the flow of information, and suppress dissent. By reinforcing a nationalist and isolationist ideology, Putin aims to cement his grip on power and align the country more closely with his vision of a powerful, independent Russia. These efforts reflect a broader strategy to isolate Russia from Western political and cultural influences, ensuring that the government can operate without external interference while fostering a unified national identity. Following his inauguration, Putin orchestrated a comprehensive reshuffle of the Russian government, signaling a reassertion of his autocratic style and strategic priorities. This political maneuver involved the resignation and swift replacement of key cabinet figures, aligning the government tightly with Putin's directives for Russia's future. The reshuffle indicates Putin's intent to centralize authority further and ensure that all administrative actions reflect his political and ideological objectives. Such moves are critical for Putin as he seeks to reinforce his rule, consolidate power, and implement policies that support his vision for Russia's national stability and strategic interests. Belarus, in a move likely coordinated with Russia, has announced a surprise nuclear readiness inspection. This declaration serves as a strategic signal to the West, emphasizing the military and political alliance between Belarus and Russia. The inspection underlines their combined readiness to confront perceived regional threats, demonstrating their sovereign capabilities and strategic autonomy. This action not only reasserts their military readiness, but also reinforces their stance against NATO's eastern expansion, showcasing a unified front in the face of international pressures and aligning closely with Russia's broader regional objectives. The Russian government has intensified its crackdown on NGOs and independent media, with the recent declaration of Freedom House as an undesirable organization being a prime example. This crackdown is part of a broader strategy to dominate the domestic information space and curtail civil liberties. By restricting NGO operations and controlling media narratives, the Kremlin aims to solidify its authoritarian regime, minimize Western influence, and suppress any dissent. These actions are crucial for Putin's government to maintain control over public opinion and stifle any opposition that could undermine the government's agenda or Russia's image as a unified nation. Russian military activities in Ukraine have seen significant developments, with continued operations and administrative moves in regions like Donetsk and Zaporizhia. These actions are part of Russia's strategy to fully integrate these areas into its administrative framework, demonstrating a deepening control over newly annexed territories. Efforts to assimilate Ukrainian civilians into Russian governance structures are being aggressively pursued, aiming to solidify Russian influence and facilitate the transition of these regions under Russian control. These military and administrative strategies are crucial for Putin's plan to reinforce Russia's territorial claims and ensure a stable integration process,